Oh, there we go. Hi, everybody. It's Jason Moffer. As I had warned you before, we are going to shoot another episode. Let me put some stuff away. This is my business book. I have 3 kitties here now. I have Paxton's mother. Her name is Nora. And interestingly enough, Nora is now is getting friendly with her son. Nora, do you want to go outside, honey? I'm starting to show you. Outside, you want to stay inside? Go ahead, sweetheart. Alright. Anyway, I started the episode and I'm not here. Anyway, I thought about the things that we need to do. You know, folks, before we load the fins, I kind of want to go ahead and section the body tube. So we're going to do that. This is a launch controller project. I can really deal with the best of them, but it's going to be a single channel. You know, we're going to do this later. There's your on/off switch. There's power in, power out. These are 2 gangs. I got everything from Walmart, and the funny thing is about Walmart, they have an excellent return policy as long as you have the receipts. But Walmart has very, very high quality stuff, you know, provided you know what you're looking for. We'll set that and that in like that, and I'll show you how that looks later. We're not doing that. So let's get this stuff ready. You know what I realized that I forgot? We've got it here, but I need a way to actually attach it to the tool. That I've got this guy. It's BIM wood metal part number. Okay, I didn't know. So I thought for some reason that was a Bauer. Well, not to leave this in the car. I did work on the car yesterday, and the last couple of days before that, I've been working on the car for like almost three solid days. It's an old vehicle; it needs maintenance, so I work on it once a month. You know, clear out the baffles and all that good stuff. I will make a note to return that back to the car at some point. Now, here's something really exciting. I've got Color Max paint and primer by Krylon, indoor outdoor paint. And we're going to paint this rocket. Let me get the blue box out of the way. We are going to paint this rocket this color. I got this from Lowe's Hardware, and I'm going to go ahead and level out this camera. My throat's going to get dry, so at some point in time I'm going to get up and get something for myself to drink. These are number 8 times 1/2 inch screws. I have a countersink. We're going to use this on the twin engine rocket. Where the transition takes place is where we're going to use 3 of these, or 6 of these guys, 3 in circumference around each one of the transitioned, compound, not hybrid, compound shims for joining the small section to the large section. And I'm thinking maybe 1/2 inch is a little bit too small. So I'm going to go in really deep to countersink. I want these little guys here. I don't know if you can see them, so let me cut them open. Use the scissors instead. I was complimented on my speaking voice, and I gotta tell you, I don't see where I deserve a compliment for that. But I appreciate it all the same. I'm just gonna open this up, pull one out. Can't really see detail from that far away, but that's okay. I'll work with that too. I got the trash can underneath here. This guy, if you can see it, it's a tapered self-starting screw. It's a wood screw. It's a Phillips head, and we're going to use 3 of these on. I need the rocket. I'm going to demonstrate what it is that I'm talking about. So let me go get our twin engine rocket. I do like the way this is turning out, by the way. These are kind of the 2 rockets that we're working on right now. We have a third and a fourth. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Like I said, we're gonna paint the rocket green. That'll be a lot of fun. Wait till you start finishing the assembly of the rocket itself. You put a nice coat of paint on it, and the rocket takes shape. You're going to get a lot more excited about what you're doing. I need to make sure I have the tool for that. Pretty sure I do, but the thing is, I don't have the tools to fasten it. I gotta go out to the car to get that, or I'll figure out something. Anyway, so these guys, 3 of these guys are going to go in circumference around this section here. You know what? Who's meowing to get in? Let's go ahead and put this one aside. Let's go ahead and just do that right now. I just dumped these. I just dumped all these in here. That's okay, because that's where they go. Let's count out. This is a coupler, but we're going to have to shave this down to paper thin size to once we section the fuselage of this rocket. And this will serve as a coupler between the 2 sections, because it's going to be an upper section of that rocket and the bottom, closer towards the top. I knew it. Paxton's mother is whining to get in. You have to wait, honey. Hold on. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3. That's for the first level. 1. You know what? I just realized something. I need the drill bit too. Doggone it. Well, we'll figure out something. That's 5, and then you just need 1 more, and that is 6. Guys, I'm gonna need the drill bit and the countersink. I'm almost positive I don't have these in here. Oh well. We should stick to doing the pins like I promised you. This is bad karma coming back to bite me in the bottom. Well, sheesh. I have to run out to my car, which is all the way on the other side of the street in the strip mall parking lot. So, okay, so we got 6 I want to get that done today too, but I'm not going to go off camera for about 10 minutes and come back with the tools. I don't want to do that. That is in bad form. I'll put that in there. Like so, we're gonna have to straighten this out again. We got too much stuff and not enough room. Okay, so we got those there. Let's pick these guys up, put them in a special spot, because we're gonna use a tool that generates a lot of vibration. And we're gonna go ahead and section this. Let me go ahead and get the motor out. God grief, that slippery hands. That motor is in there tight. Now remember what I mentioned about MPT threads? They're nylon or PVC. Usually just nylon. I have to get. There you go. I got a needle nose to get this out. But usually you have to leave them loose, and you still have to lubricate them. Yeah, you know what? Oh my goodness, my gun's in way too tight. That's why. I'm sorry. I ran this in, oh my goodness, I ran this in way too tight. You know what? The other thing is the electrical tape sham, I think, is moving. No, I just ran it in too tight. I'm gonna have to get in there. Let me check this out. Hey, folks, I don't mean to derail a train of thought at the station, but let me clean this out. That's not good. I'm gonna drain on the gray carpet there. Okay, so what's going on here? I don't really have a right to recommend a system like this if it's not fully tested and refined, so forgive me. The rocket is going to get to the point though where we will launch it. Okay, so on this rocket we have to remember something very, very, very important. If you can see this detail right here, where this tape shim is flush with the surface, the trailing edge surface, the bottom of the rocket is where you need to stop. Now the motor might be a little bit loose. I don't really think it's a good idea for you to run it in any farther. there's no reason for the motor to be rotating. I know you'd like to have it in there safe and secure, um, but if you don't feel comfortable with that, I suppose we can run it in. But when you run it in, just run it in until it stops. You get a reasonable amount of resistance, and leave it. But the honest to goodness truth is, with all that heat traveling through that area, your best bet is just back it off and line up the tape shim with the flat surface of the tape shim with the flat surface of the trailing edge of the motor, the tube walls itself, and just leave it like that. Because you don't want to be out in the desert launching this and you can't get the motor housing out. Which reminds me of another thing too. I think that we made the decision not to use reloadable motor system casings. We're gonna make single-use rocket motors. So we'll explore that possibility as well. You can still use these. I don't mean to be going back and forth on technology, but we'll use this now for visual purposes and fitment. And I'll explore the possibility of a reloadable motor system. That's not really what I want to teach you. I want to teach you the motor system that we've got on the twin-engine rocket here. These guys are loadable, and that they're single-use. You're not reusable. The materials are pennies on the dollar. I mean, you can literally make one of these motors for less than $5 a piece. Times 2 is $10 per launch. So I'll show you how to do that. And for $5 a piece, versus all the trouble and hassle it takes to rebuild the reloadable motor system, I might end up making these a little bit more exotic with reusable nozzles, bulkhead, more exotic propellants like that. That stuff is dangerous. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so we've got this removed. For practical purposes, we're going to go ahead and section the rocket. I wanted to discuss to you, before we determine a section of the rocket, you have to understand something about rockets, at least the ones that we're shooting off. The lower tube of the rocket is the main section of the fuselage. It carries the anchor, it carries possibly both shock cords that go between both anchor spools, the bottom one being copper, copper scrub pad baffled, heat baffled, and the upper spool being the part that just holds on the top of the rocket. Your best bet is to put the coupling on the top section of the rocket. Because we're using PVC, we're not using craft paper. But here's what I want to warn you about. The coupler is always going to be smaller in diameter than the inner diameter of the body tube itself, for a reason. If it was the same size and dimension, it'd be a press fit. First of all, this material won't hold up being press fit together. It's not like you're dealing with tool steel or stainless or flow cast selenium or something like that. You're dealing with plastic. Under too much pressure, the stuff will break. So what do? You undersize the coupler to the point where it's just a loose slip fit. Well, that's fine, except for the fact that if you section the rocket too far down, too close to the back end of the rocket, that means the part of the rocket closest to the ground, because these launch vertically, then you're going to have the top section, the weight of the top section of the rocket that's going to be working against the fitment of the coupler itself. You're going to have the top of the rocket is going to want to walk back and forth because of the looseness. And you need that looseness because you need the separation charge from the motor to get the top of the rocket off. So be careful. So my decision is we're going to be going ahead and cutting this rocket right here. And I don't even have my marking pen. And you know what? I don't have much of anything. I didn't plan ahead. So we're just going to visualize cutting a line right here. However, that presents us with another challenge. I need the Allen head tool. I still need the marker. And I still need the countersink tool and the drill bit to run those screws in. So we may take a break in our filming and continue, but I'm not entirely sure that my camera phone has that capability. So let's dig out the tool and see what the heck we can do. I think maybe, since it's not tight, critical tool, we can plug something. All right, so come on back in, Nora. Come on. Nora, nothing's changed. I mean, like about 20 minutes later, you want back in. So I could talk for about an hour about all the kitty politics in the apartment complex. I got to tell you, if Hollywood writers are on strike because they need ideas, they need more pay, they should come up with ideas based on observation of animals. Human beings behave like animals. Just truth is stranger than fiction. But write a soap opera about that. Oh, lights are flickering. Okay, so now my old DeWalt cabinet is probably about 30 or 40 years old. We have got, oh, okay, surprise, surprise. What do I use this for? Well, I don't use it for cutting. However, I may have to. I have attached to my multi-purpose tool made by Warrior. What did I use this for before? Interesting. I don't like the way this cuts the plastic, but if I can't get that fastening bolt off because I don't have the Allen key, then I'm stuck. No, it's not even close to working. All right, I bring a cutting tool. Well, I have the presence of mind to do that. I'm going to snip off the zip ties. I do like to store my tools this way. It keeps things clean. Now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and remind you of this. Repetition for emphasis. Keep your work area neat, clean, organized, well lit, free from flammable debris and trip hazards. That's a big thing. Another thing, if you have overhead storage containers, close the cabinet doors. Close the doors before you run into something and cut your head open or gash your forehead and have to go to the hospital and get stitches. Not only is it nice to work in a clean environment, it's encouraging. It's also a lot safer too. And I just realized something else that I'm going to need, which is the extension cord. So I need the extension cord, the Allen tool. My goodness, people, I'm just really, really fed up with myself right now. I did not come prepared, so let me see what I can do. Nora's in the house. Now Nora wants to get out. And her and her son are chilling around. So Nora can't make up her mind. Now Nora wants to get out again. She hasn't shown herself, but if you're listening closely, you can hear her in the background. Nora, come here. No, she just said no. Okay, forget it. And again, Nora is Paxton's mother. That's the big male cat. No, Nora, I'm showing right now. You're going to have to wait. Oh, my word. No, wait a minute, though. Hold on. Oh, that's right. I dismantled the extension cord, so I don't even have it. Never mind. That's okay. We'll make do. We're going to plug right behind me. Hopefully the trench is far enough. By the way, as per the laws of gravity, stuff loves to fall, especially on my watch. Hold on. Come on, kitty. Nora, you're gonna have to wait, honey. I can't keep my students and my audience waiting. I spent nearly 5 minutes off camera taking care of your needs. Might as well. Okay, so we just want to verify that is the motor end. Okay, so what did I say? I don't want the top section of this rocket to weigh that much, and I'm not really entirely sure. I'm going to be making a nose cone lathe, and I'll show you how to do that too. But the way we make nose cones makes me wonder, if you're going through that much trouble to shape one nose cone, why not make a plug for a mold? For somebody who mold makes nose cones. I know of a guy. I don't know how to get a hold of him right now. I had his phone number in the past. I do have the phone number of an engineer. I think I have it. I can call him and get in touch with him because if I'm going through that much trouble making a nose cone, it might as well be a plug. It's a big solid piece. And so we'll look into that. I'm kind of branching. Okay, so we're going to do this. Okay, it's on number 4. I'm going to use an imaginary line, and I'm going to go half, because all this is going to have is the upper anchor spool, which we're going to get into tomorrow. We're going to get into anchor spools and mounting the fins on this rocket and anchor spools tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure if we're going to have the time to cut fins today. Cutting fins is a really, really big deal. It's mostly craftsmanship. In fact, it's almost all craftsmanship. You know, you can use a variety and style of fins just as long as you have enough square area between the 3, 4, 5, 6, or 8 fins. Well, relatively, let's keep it to 6 and under. If you have enough square surface area on those fins to handle directing the downward rifle laminar surface force or surface airflow, and keep the missile pointed straight, I shouldn't say missile, the rocket, then that's fine. There actually is a formula for requirement for square area of fin to length and body tube diameter of rocket plus its length and its desired speed and altitude, etc., etc. But mostly it's length and its width and perhaps maybe even the size of the motor. So we'll keep that in mind. But usually I just eyeball it, but sometimes I make mistakes too. Actually, 50% of the time I make mistakes. But you guys forgive me because I'm doing this for you for free. Oh, which reminds me, everything's not free. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Please leave a comment. I got a comment from a nice gentleman who said I have a great speaking voice. I don't know if he's hearing things or somebody at Google felt sorry for me and touched up the sound, used Morgan Freeman to overdub my awful voice. But and then of course he asked what are these rockets used for. I want to make something clear. And now that I can think about it, before we section this rocket by turning this tube on and cutting it, I want to make something clear. These rockets are expressly for education, research and development, and recreation. So recreation, education, and research. Recreation, education, and research. That's it. They are not designed to be weapons. They're not to give people crazy ideas about how to launch something sideways. Okay, so Paxton's showing off for his mom because he's so excited. Oh, he just loves her. Look at that. Mother and son are reunited. I'm just so happy right now. She hated him when he started shacking up with Valencia and adopted her as his sister. She didn't want to have anything to do with it. And look at that, they're just playing now. This is so wonderful. But again, I want to explain something too. The National Association of Rocketry, look them up online. You can join online and find your local chapter. These are run by individuals who run the local chapter of National Association of Rocketry. They are family events. That means that they're open to all ages, genders, nationalities, ethnicities. They're a family-friendly event. They're good, clean, fun. You'll have more good, clean, educational, very, very exciting, imagination-stimulating fun at a rocket launch than you would in anything else. And guess what? If you want to have fun, you have to participate. And believe me, participation in model rocketry and sport rocketry, it'll draw you in. It'll take over your life. I kind of don't want to do that, but that's how fun it is. So, it's easy. Okay. Anyway, okay, so look them up online, National Association of Rocketry. My chapter, the one I'm part of, is SCRA, Southern California Rocketry Association. The gentleman's name is Martin. I don't have the address with me right now, but I can tell you we meet at Santa Fe Dam Recreational Area at the end of the 60 freeway. All you have to do is look up Santa Fe Dam Recreational Area. It's in northeast Los Angeles County, I think, but we'll see about that. Santa Fe Dam Recreational Area, or you can look up SCRA online. Give Martin a call. He'll just all he's going to ask for is your mailing address, and he'll send you a pamphlet with all the launch dates and the rest of the information. The only thing about Santa Fe Dam Recreational Area, as everything is falling into the pit of what do you call it, inflation, land has become just almost irretrievably invaluable. So they charge about, excuse me, they charge $14 per car for an entry fee, and that's all day. The launches take place between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. or 8 a.m. and 12 noon. There's really no cost to participate. You kind of really, I don't know if you have to be a NAR member or not. My guess is they do accept voluntary donations. But my guess is at this point in time, National Association of Rocketry, we want to just we want to I would say expose and excite. We want to expose sport rocketry, how much fun it is. We want to get people excited about it. We want to boost our numbers. And I gotta tell you, if nobody knows about model rocketry or sport rocketry or even competition sport rocketry and how it takes place not in just this country, but in in Canada, Australia, England, Ireland, and France. I mean, it's a whole nationwide thing. National Association of Rocketry, I believe, might only be limited to North America. However, it seems to me after a certain period of time, they might be expanding to other safe countries. The other organization, if you want to think about it, you can look them up online, is TRIPOLI, TRIPOLI. Tripoli International Rocketry or Tripoli Rocket Association is a very, very savvy organization. They deal in sport rocketry, high-powered rocketry, and experimental rocketry. Nora's competing with me because she wants to get out again. Their president is based in Maine. He's a nice guy. I've gone back and forth. I've communicated with him a couple times. He's a nice person. National Association of no, I'm sorry, Tripoli, a Tripoli sponsored event in the United States, a Tripoli sponsored event in your area, my area, like California, is the locations are going to be different. They're going to be a lot more remote because anytime you go to a Tripoli sponsored meet, and you have to have two things. You have to have your membership. It has to be current, and you have to probably have some camping gear and survival equipment because Tripoli sponsors sport launches involving rockets that are much, much more powerful. They sponsor team events. Anywhere rocket will launch anywhere from 4 to 6 inches in diameter, and obviously it can stand up to 2 stories tall. Requires a whole team of people, like anywhere from 5 to 10 people, supporting just one launch. And it is outrageous. It is so much fun. It is so interesting, and it doesn't matter what happens, whether the rocket blows up on the pad or launches 5,000 feet in the air and blows up, or if it just keeps going on to outer space, and you get telemetry, and you say something like, "I see the curve of the Earth," and somebody says, "No, that is the Earth itself." Because some people have actually done that. They're not supposed to, but I mean, you get the meaning. There again, Tripoli sponsored events. That's definitely a different ballpark. If you're a minor, you have to be accompanied with an adult. Obviously, there's no drinking, smoking, or drugs. There's no violence. They will not tolerate any type of misbehavior. When you apply for membership, if you have a criminal background that includes something like willful destruction of property, especially arson or assault or armed robbery, you won't get your membership with Tripoli. They're trying to keep people out like that. So I think these day and age, they do background and criminal history. So it's a little bit tougher to get in Tripoli, and I thank them for that because that keeps out people who want to show up, launch a rocket in the air, and point their gun in the air and try to shoot it out in the air. I mean, how are we supposed to stop somebody with a semi-automatic weapon showing up in a rocket launch? I mean, here we are trying to protect the reputation of sport rocketry and model rocketry as a safe, non-violent activity, and some yutzpah shows up with a firearm or a bunch of alcohol and gets drunk, turns up a stereo, smokes up a storm, and ignites a cache of rocket motors or igniters. We cannot have that. Because of the size of rockets that Tripoli events, that Tripoli sanctions, the fact that anything more than a J-powered motor, which is like 54 millimeters in diameter. Hey, honey, this is Nora right here. Nora, I'm filming right now. I'll let you out when I'm done. But again, I have to tell you, these are serious events. You have to be a member. You have to apply for membership. You have to pay for the membership. But the thing is, like I said, if you're a miscreant, if you get kicked out of an event or meet because you're starting fights with somebody, you're drinking alcohol, you refuse to stop smoking, you're trying to do stuff that's dangerous, you'll get kicked out of the meet. Your membership will be revoked, non-refundable. You'll be, I mean, you'll be blacklisted. You won't be able to join. And Tripoli communicates back and forth with the National Association of Rocketry, so you won't be able to just go over to NAR, go to a NAR-sponsored event. The two organizations communicate back and forth. More than likely, you're not going to get a membership with the National Association of Rocketry. The honest to goodness truth is, if you're here to watch these videos, make a rocket, and you're gonna try and make trouble or shoot something down or destroy something, heaven forbid. You know, I don't want you watching this channel, but I can't force you not to do something. As mentioned before, though, that's what building these rockets. That's what these rockets are for. But you know, if I get wind, if I find out from one single credible or non-credible source that somebody's taking advantage of the technology and the processes, the practices, and techniques I'm using, if somebody's taking advantage of this information I'm sharing with you and they use it for destructive means or ends, that is it. I'm going to find that person. I'm going to track them down. I will report them to the FBI and to NAR and to Tripoli and their local law enforcement agency. I will do everything I can to have them blacklisted. And furthermore, after I'm done with that, I'll shut this channel down. And I will never teach rocketry again I never teach online classes again. I'm not here to educate homegrown terrorists. That's not what I do. I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm a Christian, and I'm being bothered by Kitty here because she won't be quiet. But we do not do this for violence, even for the military, or for controlling, you know, or for causing acts of terrorism or destruction. We don't fly rockets into aircraft's engines. We don't fly rockets in the back of people's backyards. We don't launch in heavily populated residential areas. We don't set things on fire, okay? So between NAR and Tripoli, we're always put in areas where we can't shoot anything down or catch anything on fire. This is for recreation, it's for education, and it's for research and development. Okay, we have a lot of students who show up at our meets because they want to learn aerospace, engineering, they want to learn teamwork and team building skills, or someone like me, I want to make money and I want to make money with this channel. Okay, but I want to do something I love. Let me reiterate, both NAR and Tripoli, I don't know, I'm not getting paid to sponsor them. I don't want them to get the wrong idea, but both NAR and Tripoli will not tolerate a violation of standards and rules that they set forth. If you're in violation of those rules, you get kicked out of the meet. Depending on who finds out what mood they're in, it will permanently ban you. More than likely, if you're banned from one organization, you're going to be banned from the other. The Rocketeers like myself, again, we cannot absorb the impact of misbehavior. We're already under the gun with the United States government because they're scratching their heads and wondering why in the world would people want to design, engineer, and build and launch model rockets. To them, you know, to the average person who doesn't know or understand anything mechanical or scientific, that's fine. Everybody's got their own niche in this world. Everybody is born with a purpose. But the thing is, what we do is very, very strange and unusual to people who don't have our talents and gifts or our passion for rocketry. Robert Goddard, when he was exploring the early stages of exploring the technology of liquid-fueled rocket motors, he set part of the town he was in on fire. He set the structure he was experimenting with liquid-fueled rockets on fire. And the town, they wanted to run him out of the state. And they said, you know, we think that's too harsh. Robert Goddard, I believe that's the first name is Robert Goddard, the NASA Goddard Space Center has been named after him because he's considered the modern father. He's considered the father of modern liquid-fueled rocket motors. Robert Goddard. There's a famous picture of him standing next to an airframe that looks like a frame for a wedding dress for a very heavy-set bride. And if there's a little bit, there's little teeny liquid-powered rocket motor in the middle of it, well, that's Robert Goddard. Like I said, he set several structures on fire in town, and the town was so up in arms. They said, "We're not going to kick you out. You're a good person. You keep to yourself. You don't have any criminal background, and you're not misbehaving. So we're going to put you out on a barn, on a dirt farm, where the only thing you're going to burn down is yourself." Okay, and the townspeople were they're very upset, but they were frightened. Another story is the students at Caltech were exploring fuels, either for dry fuel rocket motors, which I specialize in, or liquid fueled rocket. They were playing around with propellant in their dorm room. I can't imagine doing anything dumber than that. They set the dorm on fire. Well, the dean of the school, Caltech or Cal Poly Pomona, I'm not sure if the name is Caltech. They said, you know what? The dean had the insight, and the board of regents for the school, they had the insight to recognize these kids were onto something. It might have even taken place back during the space race, when everybody understood this country, we had to beat the Russians to get to space and to get to the moon. At the beginning of the space race, John F. Kennedy kind of egged that on as well. So they said to these dorm students, these college students, they said, guess what? We're not going to kick you out of school, but you know what? You're not going to practice your dark arts, is black magic, liquid fueled rocket motors. We're going to put you in a building across the street, and that building is now known as the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, or JPL. So now you know the rest of the story. So getting back to my original point, we don't want either one of those organizations. We don't want people who misbehave. What we do is considered a dark art. It's not demonized. What is demonized, it's not spiritistic like we're Satan worshipers or anything, but it is heavily demonized if something goes sideways. The media catches wind of it, and next thing we know, NAR and Tripoli are now facing sanctions from the U.S. government and other countries internationally, because Tripoli is an international rocketry organization. The Brotherhood is strong, but if it becomes illegal for amateurs like you or me, I call myself amateur because I've only done rolling rockets, designing and building and launching rockets for 23 years. If they call us amateurs, and God forbid they try to shut us down because somebody made a mistake, blew up a car, and killed somebody out in Black Rock, Nevada, Lucerne Dry Lake Bed, California, White Sands in Mexico, or the Bonneville Salt Flats. God forbid, if it involves loss of human life and limb, guess what? It's coming back to us with a vengeance. We cannot mess around. So, just to reiterate, NAR and Tripoli, they both organizations, they communicate with each other, they have their own set of rules that you adhere to strictly. Tripoli has a large sign at the entrance of the event. Do not proceed past the gate until you've read the following, and it's very, very serious. Outlines code of conduct and rules, keep us safe and keep the reputation of NAR and Tripoli free from blame, free from accusation, or free from scrutiny by some subcommittee, Senate subcommittee. We don't want that. So we want to continue to build rockets. It's family safe, fun event, no religion, no politics, no alcohol, no drugs, definitely no smoking, no violence, no arguing, no cuss words, no nudity, no sex. It just, these are like I said, they're for education, they're for the family, they're for research, mostly they're for fun. Everybody's there is essentially there because they're passionate about rockets and they want to have fun. And guess what? Here's Nora, and she has to interview the show, or she has to interrupt the show. Say hi, Nora. You're on camera, honey. Nora's got a really, really long history. I've been in this complex for going 2 years, and she's a really interesting cat, but the show's not about her. Now, we're going to section this rocket. This is going to be the upper section. I'm using the middle, the seam of the two halves, the top of my trusty table. I'm going to turn this on. I got to use this because I don't want to go out to the car. I'm lacking a bunch of tools. We're going to use this guy. However, let's turn it up full steam. We're cutting right here. Right angle cut. Always. Okay, well, it did a really super ugly cut. Oh, for goodness sake. Nora, you know what? I give up. She's incessant. Nora, make up your mind, man. I need to install a cat door, but the problem is, Valencia is just nuts. She has to have a boyfriend. She's gonna get out and she's gonna have sexual intercourse and get pregnant within 30 seconds. So I can't let her or Paxton out. And God forbid Paxton is a real man. If he goes out and gets another female cat, gets a female cat pregnant, then I gotta knock on my door from the neighbors. Hey, your cat got my cat pregnant. We have 6 kittens. 3 of them are yours. All of a sudden, I have 3 kids I have to either give away, or now I have a house full of 10 cats. 3 plus 2 plus Nora, 6, and just 4 more cats and make it even 10. Anyway, let me show you the cut. This is a spiral. There's a tooth right there. I'm really kind of disappointed about that. I'm just gonna have to rely. I don't know if I have the strip sander or not. We're gonna have to correct that. We're gonna have to sand this down. I just remembered something when I started using this tool. This tool, the little gold tool. It's not for cutting. It's for cutting. It's for basically machining ruts in the material so that we can set fins. I'd forgotten about that. I kind of really need something that's more square towards the end, but I'll just have to use this and make the best of it. So we already made a mess. So what are we gonna do now? Because these, that just looks awful. I don't. Nora, hold on. Nora, just wait. Come on, okay, honey? Boy, listen to her. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna have to grind these down, and I don't want to do that, but unfortunately, I have no choice. I didn't bring the Allen tool with me. Okay, so here we go. I had the presence of mind. No, we don't have the belt sanding tool. I don't have that presence of mind. Folks, I have at least like 4 or 5 different tools I should have brought with me, including that marker. I need the marker to set the fins. I need the marker to set the ruts. Oh, you know what? I keep forgetting. I have those magic markers for the office. They're just about 5 feet away. I forgot last time too. Okay, so I'm gonna put this tool there. Nora, just wait. Nora, you're gonna have to wait, honey. You're just kind of stuck in here. I can't keep getting out back and forth, letting you out. She did crash the show. You saw her though. She's a really nice cat, good temperament. She still doesn't like Valencia, but it's just, Paxton, her son. Once I took Paxton in, and as a kitten, and he was, and Valencia was a little bit larger adolescent cat. They both just hit it off instantly. But once Nora could see that her little kitten, her little boy, smelled like her archenemy, Valencia, then she rejected Paxton too. That's really sad. Wow, listen to her. And Oh my God. So anyway, but now the passion's grown up. You know, they're reunited, and she likes him again. So, and here comes Valencia. Yeah, they're gonna fight. I gotta get this taken care of. Now Valencia's gonna be making noises too. I can't get a break. Nora, if you go out this time, you are going to stay out. I've had enough. Come on, I'm losing my patience, and so is my audience. Okay, so we're gonna unplug this. Well, no, we're not. We're gonna make ruts. The fins. I'll get a marker. All right, this is it. Nora, come on, sweetheart. Out you go. The door's open. Go. Come on. Go, 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 go. Come on. Come on, sweetheart. Get it. You're out. Close the door, too. We got cats around all over the place. Excuse me a second, folks. I'm going to get something to drink. Okay, so now you get somebody's yelling again. Oh, there it is. I was looking for a yellow cup. Who's yelling now? Welcome to my world. By the way, if you get more than 3 cats, you get what's called kitty politics. Things get really complicated. Cats are very intelligent animals. They behave a lot like human beings. Anyway. She's outside. Maybe she wants her son to come with him. I'm really, really happy to see the two of them are getting along again. Anyway, okay. Well, this thing cut really sloppy. So I'm going to get the Allen tool. Because we have to cut fins. So I can't cut fins without. I need the Allen tool to get the little nut off the end of this to change the heads. I still want my black. No, not my black. I still want my red marker. So the Allen tool, the black marker, and there was something else that I needed that I don't have. That was oh, that's right. The drill and the countersink for the screws. So the drill, countersink, red marker, and the Allen key. Only 4 tools. Boy, am I disappointed in myself. Let me move this back a bit. I'm thinking of moving this table a little bit farther forward so it's not just such a tight fit. Here we go. Plug your ears. This is a random tool. You know what else I don't have that I keep forgetting? My deburring tool. And that makes me upset. And that's 5 tools that I forgot. And the fact that I don't have an extension cord because I disabled it and I needed the parts. See where I'm coming from? I am actually showing the early stages of dementia. By the time I'm 60, I will have the IQ of a bag of potato chips. But let's just make use of what I've got now. Well, boy, nothing beats a good old-fashioned square sander, but anyway, folks, if you think you're going to be using a lot of calculators and computer simulators, guys, computers don't build rockets. Computers just run programs that tell you about formulas, tell you what to do and when and how to do it. If you rely too heavily on math and computers, you will not have what's called mechanical abilities. You won't have the ability to craft something. Computers are two-dimensional. They can only get you so far. Honestly, to the truth, computations and math have about roughly less than 10 to 12% of the overall experience of designing, engineering, fabricating, and building and launching a rocket. God's honest truth is, math. It's not that I'm not understanding what the purpose of math is, but practical math is probably about 1/10 of 1% of the entire world of math. I know people are pure mathematicians. The girls are fine. Men who are mathematicians, for whatever reason, they're not very pleasant people to deal with. I had one mathematician in high school that said, "You're probably not going to pass my class. I mean, don't even bother trying." So guess what? I got up, walked out, and petitioned for an elective at the admissions office in my high school. Never looked back. If my teacher's going to tell me ahead of time, when I'm just first day in his class, and he's already telling me, "No, you're not going to pass my class," and he's telling it to everybody, half of you are probably going to bomb out of this class. And I mean, if you want to set your students up for failure like that, well, then I thought to myself, my mindset when I was 16 years old in high school, my mindset was, why bother? I've got other things to worry about that are much more important than that particular individual's math class. I don't really have a good taste in my mouth for math. However, if somebody wants to leave a comment, a series of comments in the comment section in regards to the values and merits of math, you need to do so with one thing in mind. I need to see examples of practical applications of math. We do already know that there are versions of geometry related to trigonometry. I would call it almost experimental geometry. Dr. Catherine Goebel demonstrated in the early days of NASA when they were trying to figure out how they're going to get a space capsule to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere after being in orbit. She figured out how to go from a circular orbit to an elliptical orbit, so that she could tweak the numbers and tell the other computers and engineers how to get the capsule to re-enter Earth's orbit. She could calculate landing coordinates so the Navy would know where to go, the U.S. Navy would know where to go to pick up the capsule. That's practical application. What I'm talking about with center of gravity and center of balance, that's practical application. Coefficient of drag, that's practical application. Figure out total impulse of a rocket, which is the amount of pressure the rocket generates in psi times how long it's burning. That's total impulse. You're measuring the entire workforce of one rocket motor, and you define it as total impulse. The reason you have to do it that way, because you light a rocket, it stays on for 5 seconds, and it turns off, and it's not reusable anymore. It's not like a gas engine. Gas engines, diesel engines are measured in torque and horsepower, but their ability to create power, as long as they have a fuel tank that's full of fuel, is almost limitless, as long as you take care of the engine. Rocket motors still fire 5, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and that's it. They're done. So the other way to measure their workforce is, again, time, duration, times the amount of pressure the rocket motor generates. Those two get you total impulse in Nm force, but basically in pounds per square inch of workforce, thrusting workforce, where it pushes on one end of the rocket and launches it vertically through the air by using that force. how long it does that, how much pressure it develops. Again, total impulse. Now the calculations for that, you run numbers for that. So total impulse, center of pressure, center of gravity, coefficient of drag, percentage of square area, usable square area of the fins related to the requirements for stability of that rocket throughout its vertical flight, an entire flight path from powered flight to coasting to apogee to recovery. Again, you need to figure that out. Your fins, it can't be too long to have what's called an overstable condition, whereby the fins will want to correct the rocket constantly, and they'll throw the rocket's flight path off. And, you don't want that either. But there are fins that are undersized. I made an undersized. I made a short, fat rocket with 5 undersized fins, and it was a complete disaster. That was the worst rocket I've ever built in my entire life, because I didn't understand the fact that the working surface area of the fins times the number of fins equals the amount of total surface area you need in compound or in plural to adequately control and stabilize the flight of the rocket, the vertical flight of any one rocket. So you look at a rocket proportionally to the size and length and diameter of the rocket is proportional. It's its fin arrangement to keep that rocket stable in flight. So that's math too. Payload weight, balance, percentage of failure, understanding this and that. That's it. I mean, to me, that all constitutes about less than 12 to 10% of the entire project of designing, engineering, building, launching, and recovering a rocket. That's it. So, if you're mathematicians and you think everything and anything I talk about is going to involve math and computers, guess what? You're sadly mistaken. Okay, we cover some math basics. I've already given you a resource for countering center of pressure and center of balance. But you know what, you guys? Honest to goodness truth is, it's not about computers. Computers don't have arms and legs. They don't work the lathe or the drill press. This is about intuition, about imagination. It's about passion. It's about daydreaming about, what if, not just, like I've met people who said, we can't do that because of that. Well, I said, you try this. No, we just don't try it because we know it won't work. Well, how do you know? I don't want to talk about it. There are people out there who they're happy in their own little, their own little fenced off circle. I'm not like that. I'm not going to teach people like that. I'm going to teach people like myself who want to learn and push the boundaries. I think this country is between 50 to 100 years behind in aerospace technology, and so God help me, we should have manned spacecraft traveling not just to other planets, but other galaxies by now. The space race started, for goodness sake, the space race started 50 years ago. And we've got people still pressurizing, doing a fuel tank pressure test with cold water to see how they'll hold up to cryogenic fluid like oxygen. And those idiots, they spent $2 million of U.S. federal grant money on finding out, that's the bursting point for a fuel tank, without establishing the parameters of a natural working environment of a pressurized fuel tank filled with liquid oxygen or liquid hydrogen, both of which are and liquid when their cryogenic temperatures are in liquid form. Cryogenic meaning below 2 to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. That's minus 2 to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. So 2 to 300 degrees below zero. And not to mention the fact that the hydrogen has such a small molecular structure, the material has to be especially solid and watertight. It can't even be subject to weeping. So, and when I read the article about that $2 million experiment by pressurizing a giant water tank and saying, oh, there it works, two things went off in my head. Number one, they weren't using liquid oxygen or liquid hydrogen, so they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They didn't give it a natural test environment. And number two, why is it that we're still running these tests when everything and anything in regards to that technology had already been handled so far back as the late years of World War II, when Germany was attacking London and the rest of England with the V-2 bombs, which had tanks filled with liquid oxygen. That technology existed literally literally 80 years ago. So what are we doing revisiting that technology and doing it incorrectly and charging the U.S. government $2 million for it? It's absurd. I have to scratch my head and wonder what the heck's going on with aerospace. There's not a whole lot of talent there. They brag about this and that. I don't like the way some rockets are designed. I saw somebody design a brand new troop transport aircraft. It looked exactly like the Spruce Goose. And this was only 5 years ago. Come on, guys. It was 2018. The Spruce Goose was back in the closing days of the war, back in 1944. I had somebody propose a rocket with a completely flat nose cone. And the nose cone, the head of the rocket was at a right angle with the body of the rocket with little curves inside of it. It looked like a flying pencil eraser. So you got people like that coming up with really goofy ideas. I read something, an article, somebody said they wanted to launch a rocket with transmissionable microwave energy. And I'm thinking to myself, the rocket is 10 stories tall, probably weighs nearly 120 tons, needs to accelerate to a speed of 18,500 miles an hour with a payload and escape gravity. And you want to do all that with transmission of microwave energy. I laughed out loud when I read that. So people aren't getting the point. And the problem with that is talent's not getting through. So I don't think people know how to find or harness talent. And, the honest to goodness truth, these companies go under because they just can't yield results, because they can't get a grip on the technology. You know what? That's just fine, because that leaves more of the market share pie for guys like me. So you can't keep a good person down. So guys, I don't know what to tell you. Either you have the talent and passion, you know what you're doing, or you don't. So that's the end of my pious lecture mode. So we're going to sand down the end of this. We're going to use this very loud tool again, so plug your ears. So there we go. So I need the burning tool. I still want my red marker. I need a drill bit and the countersink. And there's a fifth item that I need. Oh, that's right. The Allen key to get this particular head off this particular saw blade off my multi-purpose tool. I need my mind. I need my patience. I need a nice steak dinner because I'm hungry right now and I'm thirsty. So we're going to conclude this video in just a few minutes. Actually, we're going to conclude it now. Guys, I've done a lot of talking, but let's see. We butt this end up against this. Oh, fifth thing I need that belt sander, because I'm going to grind the living daylights out of that coupling piece. It looks, no, it's deviant. Let me see if I do a square edge against that. No, it's still deviant. Okay. So I'm going to do a little more sanding on the end of this. See if I can find a surface that will serve as an equal ladle. Okay, we'll try that. Okay, by the way, if I'm gonna preach. I'm gonna practice. This whole area is gonna be vacuumed and cleaned up when I'm done. I love this workspace. I like working outside, but I've had such a hard time finding a location I don't get kicked out of because again, as Rocketeers, what we're doing is to people who don't understand it, it's very frightening. You're building a rocket. The first words out of any ignoramus's mouth are, oh, do they explode? And my answer is no, they don't. I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't want a microwave oven I purchased to cook food for myself and my family or my kiddies. I wouldn't want that to explode. What if you buy a car and something happens, the fuel tank explodes, it causes the car to explode too. In other words, what I'm saying is rockets are designed to travel under power from a controlled measure of thrust generated by a chemical reaction known as combustion. Vectored combustion, pinched through a nozzle, developing very, very high pressure, will provide propulsion for the rocket. That's what rocket engineers and designers want. We don't want things to explode. I really don't like dumb questions like that, and I've kind of gotten in an argument with the last person who did, because again, they say things like that out loud. It makes me look suspicious, not them. And the U.S. government I'm not a terrorist or anything. The U.S. government, they've got their eye on me and a couple of other people like me, and it's just a mild person of interest. I mean, where's this guy going with this? Well, I kind of, whenever I hear a car alarm go off, I look up at the sky and start waving my hand, because that only seems to happen when I'm building rockets outside. Now I'm doing it inside because the tear down and setup is easier, it's more convenient. I can be with my kiddies and get them used to me being home because I want to go close to them. But I like being outside because of the fresh air. In fact, my skin gets a little more sunburned and darker. I kind of like that too. But the bad thing about being outside is, again, if I go to Lowe's, I get kicked out. If I went to Home Depot, I get kicked out. I get kicked off the street. So again, folks, be ready for the fact that if you're going to tell people you build rockets, just be selective about who you tell that to. And in fact, here I am promoting and talking up NAR and TRIPOLI. If you find someone who's enthusiastic and you can sign them up for membership, that's fine. But maybe that's why nobody or very few people actually know about the two organizations, because they got more attention than they already have. Then that might jeopardize our freedoms, cause the government to take notice and limit our freedoms. But we don't want that either. We're doing that, again, recreation, education, research. That's it. Nothing violent. So anyway, that's that. I just want to check to make sure I'm not building an English stovepipe. You know what? I just think. Hold on. And there you go. I'm being a little too fussy at this point. That will have to do. Okay, so let me just demonstrate what I'm going to do, and then we're going to call it quits, because I think we've actually gone over the 1 hour mark. This video is going to take forever. Look, now where did the coupler go? You know what? I bet I know where it went. Rolled off and went over the side. Oh no, here it is. I just saw it. It's behind this toolbox. This coupler, I just want you to notice something. It's going to be joined. The outer diameter of the outer material, the outer diameter of this coupler is going to be removed. This PVC coupler has a wall thickness of about roughly 1/4 of an inch. I don't know if you can see that, but that's that right there. The wall thickness of this PVC tube, which I've machined and sanded down, has about roughly, I think, 1/8. Okay, but however, I'm thinking. What are those? Oh no, I'm sorry. This is 1/8. This is 1/16. So 1/16 of an inch, 1/8. So if this is 1/8, 1/8 is also equivalent to 2/16, which is not a real fraction, but it tells me one thing. If I reduce the outer diameter of this coupling to where the wall, this radius goes down by 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch on both sides, I'm going to have wall thickness of 1/16. Now, 1/16 is the same as the wall thickness this 1/16, but because I've shaved off or machined off half of the thickness of this coupler, I've reduced it from 1/8 to 1/16. Okay, on the outside, I've given up half of the material, the half of which the inner diameter of this tube does not have. So guess what? This, in theory, should slip inside this, and it won't be as paper thin as the other coupling I made, which was really scary. I had to spend a long time on it, and that other coupling, well, with that other coupling is this guy right here. I showed it to you before. I showed it again. You know what? I think it's the same diameter material. Let me check for sure. My goodness, it is. Well, yeah. I took the high road on this one. I could have used this for this, but I wanted a longer section of coupling. But I don't know, again, if you can see the wall thickness of that, that's like less than 1/64. And this is a brittle type of PVC. It's designed to hold up under low pressure but stagnant water flow. So it has different thermal qualities and different non-corrosive or non-biodegradable or non-degradable characteristics. This is a different plastic from this, and I know that for a fact because you can't when these two different separate pieces of plastic break, they break differently. They have different physical traits. This is not PVC. Not to mention the fact these pieces are clamshell molded. I should say this PVC. This plastic is clamshell molded. You can see the mold seam transverse along the side of the tube. This stuff, this PVC, is Schedule 80 or thin walled Schedule 40. I don't know what you want to call it. This stuff is extruded. There is no seam in this material. So material that's been molded, that has clamshell, round material that has a clamshell mold or has been rolled and welded at one end, like you're rolling two ends together and welding them, that is not extruded material. Extruded material is entirely different. Okay, the aluminum, the T6061 aluminum that I'm working with for these motors, this is tougher than heck. Because it's extruded, they had to heat treat and harden this aluminum. And this aluminum is the same wall thickness. Yeah, it is practically the same wall thickness as this tube material. If it's, folks, so here's the moral of the story. Here's what I'm telling you right now. If you can get your hands on extruded tubing that is proportionally less than 1/25 the overall weight of the body tube itself, then go ahead and get it. Then link, get me, leave a comment with a link in the comment section to where I can look up your information and verify that you are correct in what you're doing. However, if you pick out the wrong type of material and I get it through the email, I'm actually going to embarrass you on one of these shows and tell you, I'm not going to say your name, but such and such suggested this material. What do you think? And I'll tell you why it isn't. Case in point, an individual made a rocket motor out of some galvanized steel pipe because galvanized steel pipe is tough. He just wanted to test the burn rate of the propellant, and he was doing it on a state beach with some evergreens and everything, and that damn thing blew up like a pipe bomb. It really that could have killed somebody. It blew up like a grenade. The reason being is black powder fuel, black powder explosive reacts. It reacts to anything that can strike a spark. You strike a spark with ferrous material and you use some airflow black powder in it, that's it. Depending on the burn rate, the burn speed of that black powder, you can have a very, very large explosion on your hands because of the ferrous metal used, which tends to strike spark. Okay, aluminum, you strike aluminum, it does not strike spark. If you want aluminum to catch fire, you have to use intense heat and friction, and you have to add a fuel. Or you're not a fuel, you have to add some type of oxidizer. So it needs intense heat and friction, and maybe you throw some tire rubber with it, and temperatures have got to get well above 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit for this stuff to burn. It does not explode, it burns. Aluminum burns and melts, just like any, but it has such a high temperature rating that it would literally blow any type of galvanized, non-galvanized ferrous metal out of the water. Iron and flow cast selenium, even stainless steel, that stuff, you apply enough pressure internally to that material and it will explode. It will fragment. It won't stretch. Okay, even if it's heat treated several times, the stuff will blow outward. It will, whatever inside the casing, the ferrous metal casing, if it detonates, and releases its energy all at once. It's going to find the weakest spot in the internal surface area of what that containment section. Now, if it's aluminum, it'll blow the aluminum apart, but aluminum won't fragment. Aluminum is not brittle. Aluminum will fragment, but you'd have to use such force that chances are the bits and pieces of the aluminum that went fragile and fragmented would blow so far away you would never find them. But aluminum doesn't do that. Aluminum flexes and gives, it warps. Okay, and I'm here to tell you right now, steel and cast iron, they bend very little. Anything made out of cast iron is suicidal. Don't be testing pyrotechnics or rocket fuels in anything made out of iron or steel. Anything that conducts electricity, anything that can be used to contain heat, but open-handed, open bowl heat. If it's metal or if it's iron, it's probably designed for that reason. You start putting bomb material, or you start putting rocket fuel and enclosing it in a ferrous metal container, you are asking for trouble. One last example, and the lecture will be over. Okay, and I'll put this back together. You know what? You know what I want to do? I want to cheat. Oh shoot, I shouldn't do that. Oh my goodness. Uh-oh. I'm gonna cheat. Well, that's gonna be a twin-engine rocket. Boy, we're gonna make ourselves one very, very large motor. Let me ask you a question, folks, because I can mix and match at this point. It's a little tight too. What do you think about our first student rocket being this tall instead of well, shall I, for lack of a word, make this tall? So I'm thinking we'll just go ahead and go with this piece, and when I feel like it, then we're going to go ahead and machine this piece down. Same thing applies. Remove the outer 1/16 material from this. I should measure this with a dial caliper because I really don't know. It looks like this is definitely 1/8, but take the 1/8 inch off of both sides, so that'll leave 1/8. The interior diameter of this would be no, it should be not 1/8, 1/16. Interior diameter of this is one. I believe it'll be. God dang, I'm confused. This would be 1/16. So 1/16 from 1/16 equals 1/8. 2/16 reduce 1/8. 1/8 of this wall thickness. So if I had 1/8 inner diameter here, and this rocket, first of all, this rocket would be very heavy, wouldn't fly at all. And then I had the same wall thickness and the inner diameter in this, I could reduce this to nothing and it still wouldn't work as a coupling. But I wouldn't use thick walled material for this rocket to begin with, not that thick. Proportionally, it's too thick for the application. So, okay, so I'm really excited. So we're going to cut it off at this point. I imagine this is going to be almost an hour and a half video. I've had loads of fun. I hope my enthusiasm is bleeding through. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I really want to do that. You know what? I'll make a decision. I'll let you know. I don't really think it's fair because, you know, sorry guys, I changed my mind. Let's leave this on this guy here like this, because this guy has 2 engines, not one, and we want to give it a little bit of length and weight. I don't want to overpower this rocket, but then it's my option to make the engines as big as I want. It needs 2 of them though, so I will scale back their power regardless. And I'm thinking, I'm making a decision right on the spot right now. I'm thinking for the sake of practical purposes, Well, I'll figure that out too. Maybe it's not a good idea to develop this type of system. Maybe it would be better if I use this type of system and just go ahead and just spend the capital and just make each one of these motors single-use disposable and just attach and detach them after each rocket flight. And hopefully I won't leave too much of enough, what do you call it, a fingerprint on the environment, because I don't want to do that. I am somewhat of an environmentalist. I support safe, clean, renewable energy. I'm kind of a part-time vegetarian myself, but I don't want to be righteous over much. I'm thinking this isn't going to work, so we're going to figure something else out. I do have a little bit of money left on my on my on my Lowe's card, so I think I'm going to take a trip back to Lowe's before they close at 8 o'clock tonight. Today is Sunday, by the way. So I apologize. That's one of my drawbacks. As a rocket designer, I am kind of ad lib. I make decisions on the spot instead of planning things out. I'm going to kind of move away from that as we continue with more conservative designs, because I really want you to get the grasp of how things work. So, well, I don't know if I want a rocket motor that big. I'm going to take this fuselage section with me, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this section. I'm going to couple that section. That's fine. This is fine for this particular length of rocket. So, and I'm gonna go ahead and leave this. So the things I'm gonna do tonight. This is our student rocket. What I'm gonna do tonight is I'm gonna go ahead and leave this off. I just want to go ahead maybe and machine the coupling down, add to the top length of this. I think I might want to use something different. I'm thinking, kind of going back and forth right now, I'm thinking I'll use this as the motor section itself, and I'll get more of this particular length of body, particular diameter body tube, and just add to the top length, make it a long rocket, long single motor rocket with a big motor. Now, guys, we're not going to build anything that takes less than a G80 motor. That's 80 total 80 Newton meters, and Newton, I don't know what the M stands for, 80 Nm of total specific, what do you call it, total impulse, which is duration of burn time times the actual pressure of the thrust. So I think this will be a more workable unit. This will be this will be a single-use rocket motor. I'm gonna have to set it up with hardware. So I'm gonna have to, well, that's right. Which end is the one we're working with? Okay, so, you know what though? I just realized something again. Now see, this is my back and forth. I can't use this because it'll pivot it there. Okay, so this is the engineering process in real time. So we're gonna machine this coupling down, or I'm gonna do it on my own. I'm not shooting for 3 hours tonight. And that'll go up here. We're back to our original plans. Go ahead and use this as machine down coupling. 1/8 of total material, full circumference of this coupler. Slip it in. I'm going to block installation spool, cover spool, and base anchor spool. We'll put this in here. We'll load the forward recovery tool on top of that. I don't know if I'm going to rut the fins tonight. I'm not sure how much time I have to play with, but I'm going to get this and this done and figure on getting something of similar diameter, this with that particular fitting, and we'll make ourselves a good old-fashioned PVC single-use motor. So we'll go ahead and do that. So that's my strategy. See how things go. In engineering, you just kind of work things out as you go along sometimes. All right, my name is Jason Wampler. This has been another episode of the Rocket Minute. I hope you enjoyed it. I know this is drawn out and protracted. You know, this information is also designed for people who were serious about making this a profession as well. But again, I just like I said, a cautionary note. If I get wind of any type of misbehavior, people who want to be terrorists, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and completely shut down this cancel this channel. I'm also going to make a request to YouTube that YouTube go ahead and erase or delete and completely eliminate all other episodes of this particular channel if I find out that anybody's using this information for malicious, destructive, or illegal purposes. And that's it. That's my final decision on that. I'm serious about that. All right, you guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Episode tomorrow will probably be shorter, around a half an hour. Tomorrow's Monday. I'm fairly busy on Mondays, but I'll be sure to shoot a half an hour episode tomorrow. I'm not going to work on the twin engine rocket, so I'm off to Lowe's Hardware on Lemon, off of Orangethorpe, Lemon between Orangethorpe and the 91 freeway. Because I live in Fullerton. All right, we'll talk to you guys later, and thanks for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow.